Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
Positive.
That's right. And to avoid any lazy... All right, guys. To avoid lazy negativity, we're making this a drinking game.
Uh-huh.
So the game is simple, people, and it's mostly for us, but we hope you join along. Anytime we say anything negative at all, you're going to hear this sound. And that sound means that we are going to drink actual alcohol, depending on how much supply we brought for this movie. I'm kidding. It's not going to be like that.
I don't know.
Anytime. So there you go. So I'm now drinking actual alcohol, and we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass, and if you guys can just talk amongst yourselves, because I just need to finish up with my therapist. I've just seen an Ari Aster film in IMAX. So.
Honestly,
Cheers, guys.
yeah.
Pre-show shot.
Jesus Christ.
He's
So
on the
much
other
like-
line. I'll be back in a minute.
So much like this movie, we should open with therapy, but then the next time we see that therapist, I want it to be really fucking weird. That's it. All right? Just like this movie. You guys good? You guys ready for the show? Do you guys need to go feed your cock in the attic, or you think you're ready to start? What do you think?
No one outside of spoilers is going to get that reference.
I know. That's why it's okay to say.
Oh, come on.
I can't wait. I just should say to everybody listening, call your mom. You know, tell her you love her. Maybe while you're at it, call Ari Aster's mom.
If she answers, I'm going to be very upset.
She answers, Dave. Dave, that's an inside joke. It's fucked up. Get out of here.
Oh, David.
I'm all right.
Hey, Mom, is it hot down there?
We're going to get into the episode in a second, people. If you're...
Jesus Christ.
Anyone who's listening
Don't
in
touch the glass.
anyone who's listening in Australia gets that joke.
I'm waiting for Dave to implode in front of an audience in a second.
You'll just see a hand appear like.
So, well, that just uprooted our episode there, Dave. So if you're new to the podcast, we try to keep it spoiler free for about 10 minutes. I think this is the kind of movie that we're going to have to open it up pretty quickly. So even on the macro level, you know, we
the
can
end of our non-spoiler show, everyone.
we'll try to, well, at least tell you if we liked it, if we recommend it. We'll try to do that, but then we got to go to spoilers pretty quick. At the end of the episode, we'll tell you what we've been watching in our segment, What You've Been Watching. And we're going to gripe a little bit at the beginning just to catch up. So if you're in an absolute mad dash rush, if you are rushing to hear a positive film podcast talk about this 3-hour movie, if you're in a rush to hear it, then just scoot ahead like 5 minutes.
If you have so much ADD you can't possibly just wait like 5 minutes, then this is not the movie for you.
Boy.
John, why don't we shout our sponsors out, and then we'll slowly segue into this here episode on Beau is Afraid.
Yeah, sure. We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. You can find that gentleman's handle in the show notes if you want to go to Instagram and check out all his beer making shenanigans. That gentleman's name, Carlos Barroso. The handle, cbarroso.beer. Give him a follow, give him a like, give him some love. The music
what a
on this
cool
episode
handle,
and every
though.
single
How
episode.
do you get that?
cbarroso.beer? That's great, right? Isn't that a good one? And the music on this episode and every single episode is provided by the one, the only, the legend, the artist, Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. You can find their music available on all the music platforms. Once again, check our show notes for the link tree. You can find your way over to his Spotify, Apple Music, all the usual places you download music. So
He's available for
check
parties.
that shit out.
Just don't let him near your hamster.
Sure. I recommend checking out the new Nescient series.
I'm getting Dave dragged. He's got to say he's got a 6 a.m., but we got to get it going. The Nescient series, yeah. He wants us to share the Spotify link, so everybody get on Spotify and just give him some listens. Let's go. Give him some spins.
Good music,
The Spotify link is on the link tree.
Already updated, Dave. Way to go.
Yeah, I know. That's been updated from 6 months ago, the first time he asked.
Yeah.
So, just to get through the stuff, this is Ari Aster's third directorial feature. Ari Aster, I believe, is still 36 years young. Did Hereditary in 2018.
I hate that fucker.
Midsommar in 2019.
Yeah, I think him and I were born in the same year.
The Toni Collette role in Hereditary is one of the best any performance, but probably horror performance that I've seen in a very long time.
It's one of the best off-screen performances I've seen.
One of the best off-screen. Yeah,
And that's not even a joke. That one scene in that I just can't watch again.
I think we all know.
Yeah.
And that also might be the most horrifying scene / sequence I've ever seen in a movie ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is Beau is Afraid, where he
Until now.
Ari Aster asked A24, the famous low-budget cinema movie company, hey, can I please have $35 to $40 million? I swear I'll get Joaquin Phoenix and we'll make a movie. And I also want it to be my Magnolia / Bardo /
we made something.
Well, I respect it. This, we talked about this. This is a recurring theme on here. When you give people a lot of money, they're going to make their fucking movie. Like, these young filmmakers, they are not just doing the things for the audience. They are taking their time and they're going, I am shooting my shot. I am making the movie I want. And hopefully I'll get a franchise after this if it doesn't work out.
Do you think the production meetings went like, hey, Ari, how's the $40 million going? Yeah, it's good. Okay, thanks. We'll talk to you next week. I don't think they asked any questions at all.
No oversight. I mean, nobody glanced at this before it was done.
No, I mean, it shows, and it really benefits from that, to be honest.
So we'll get to all that in a second. Joaquin Phoenix leads an incredible cast. A lot of theater actors, because Roundabout Theater Company's own Jim Carnahan cast this movie. So a lot of theater actors in here, a lot of New York actors. Anyway, we'll talk about all this shit in a second. First, we got to get through our gripes of the week. But this is just to keep us on task. Once we start talking about the movie, we can gripe about anything we want right now. News, any other things. NBC Universal just fired their CEO for an inappropriate relationship. That's pretty newsworthy right before the writer's strike. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's probably what his assistant's saying right now.
Yeah, this is what every company wants right before the writer's strike, is some shakeups at the top. Just while pilot season's basically a dud this year because nobody wants to greenlight anything in case they have to stall production.
Yeah, right.
Even more money.
Yeah, there's no new shows this year. Just
their
in case
insurers are like, we don't want to cover any of this shit. Anyway, you guys have anything you want to gripe about or talk about? Any news, anything at all?
I have a little something left over now that I'm not so much part of the corporate world. This goes out to corporate.
I don't know.
America.
You're going back tomorrow.
I am, but not as much as I was. That's for sure. This goes out to the corporate world. In any place that has a series of meetings back to back, when you book a meeting in a room and your start time is say 9 to 10, when you finish your meeting, get the fuck out. Don't stand around, hang around, steal all the food, whatever. Just get the fuck out of the room, because there's like 7 other meetings coming in the back. It's like those people that stall going out the fucking revolving door. It's like there's something coming in hot behind you. Get the fuck out of the way. That's all I have.
Wait, is this, you mean like past 10 o'clock, or is this even like before 10 o'clock?
They'll stick around till like, sometimes they stick around till 10:30.
This is you like running conference room meeting kind of things?
Yeah, like, it's like, this isn't your living room, and don't you have work to do?
Right.
And if you don't have work to do, why are we paying you?
Yeah, do they have work to do?
Isn't there a recession coming or some shit? Get the fuck up there and calculate some stuff. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Respect. Thank you so much. Everybody take note. John, you got anything to gripe about today?
That movie was intense, you guys. I can't think about anything else. How about you, Jeff? Do you have something
I just want to quickly point out, John, you're sitting in the perfect position on your screen. Your title underneath reads Lucky John.
Oh my God, it does. Yes. I see the brand written ever so slightly. All right. I have a quick one.
For those of you that haven't found YouTube, it's a great sight gag.
Hit it. We have a YouTube, people. All right, gripe me. Go. Hit that timer.
Gripe me.
All right, this is very simple, and I'll open it up to the floor. Guys, we have to figure out a way to make locker rooms not smell like that. Every locker room has this smell, and I know why. I'm not an idiot, but like, guys, we know that that's in there, and we do nothing about it. That's our solution to this. We get no like fucking oil diffuser, right? We get no like, they have those HVAC ventilation things to get COVID out that just goes sucks that shit right out. So why am I living in this? It's basically a sauna.
I feel like
a
stench is heavier than COVID.
I've also been knowing an increase in men just walking around naked, like looking in mirrors naked, like the shamelessness of that, which I all respect. Like, locker room, do your thing. As long as there's no weird touching going on, it's totally fine. But the smell, I just don't understand. Nobody wants it. We don't.
Yeah, unless you want the weird touching.
Yeah.
I don't think in the locker room is the locker room at the New York Sports Club is not the place for this. But we got to do something about that smell, guys. We can't live like that anymore. We're better than that. We have solutions for things.
Let's get fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson on this.
You know where you are when you smell that, though. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to know when you got an olive in your mouth. It's that kind of thing.
If you walk back in that locker room and you don't smell like that, you haven't worked out enough.
I mean, I use Well, anyway, I just think maybe they do it on purpose because they want you to get the fuck out. I don't know, but it's not right.
Maybe we should try that in the conference rooms.
Yeah.
Set a sweaty gym bag right on the table.
I'm going to go tomorrow and I'm going to waft a bottle to you and I'm going to send it your way. All right. You just open it up.
Quick, funny interlude. I was listening to the Matt and Mark movie show this week. And
what's that?
The Mark and Matt movie show?
Yeah, the Mark and Matt movie show. And they have like those ads that come on before the show. So you get like an ad and then the show starts. And
they give us the fucking ads.
They had an ad for beachbody.com. And it made me wonder what ads play before our show. Is it like ads for fucking Alcoholics Anonymous or something?
We don't get any. I think they're on Blueberry, man. Podbean, you got to step your shit up. Come on, we fill out the thing. Give us the ads. We see our numbers.
Yeah, somebody tell us what ads are before our show, because like
I don't think we have any, dude. Yeah.
You know they're catered to you, right? Matt and Mark have nothing to do with the ads that you get. And in fact, people who listen to the show in New York City and are you versus somebody else somewhere else will probably get a different ad. How fucking crazy is that?
So you were targeted with Beachbod.
I was targeted with beachbod.com.
I reached out to them one time. I was like, why are you partnering? Whatever.
Boy, did they misread the fucking room.
They got to shoot their shot. All right. I think
unless they're looking at my browser history.
All right. With that,
Jesus. Oh, yeah.
They are. They are
in the
listening.
locker room.
They are.
Can you touch yourself in the locker room?
A friend of mine told me that McDonald's app has really good deals, and then I realized why they want me on the app. You can't use the app without location services. Come on, they're just trying to make some extra coin telling people where I am. Dave, I'm gonna get some "Hey, you eat shit at night" ads coming my way. You guys ready to talk about Beau is Afraid?
Yeah.
Beau is Afraid. John, I said this to Dave and Mark. We saw it with Mark today. I said this to Dave and Mark after the show, and I said I never thought I would say this, but John, go ahead and talk your ass off this episode. We are ready for you to fill some time. Mark goes afterwards. He goes, "So what do you guys think you're going to talk about?" And then he goes, "Good luck." I'm kidding. Listen to us, people.
Because they're doing Evil Dead, so they're easy.
He's like, whoa, easy. Anyway, this is why people are choosing us for this podcast. They want us to get into it, and we're gonna fucking do it. We got a film school, bro. We got a guy who left corporate America to go back to his gig life, bro, and a guy that teaches kids voice lessons. Come on, we are coming at you. Beau is Afraid.
Wow,
I already gave you the pitch.
Crowd.
I already gave you the pitch. Other shout outs in the role. Some of them were surprises, but I'm gonna say who they are anyway. You got Patti LuPone, again, theater. Patti LuPone, Amy Ryan, Nathan fucking Lane was the number 2 bill at the end of this movie. Wow. You got I never heard of Denis Ménochet, but good for him. Should I say Stephen McKinley Henderson? And then I'm gonna say it because I think it's great. Fucking awesome shout out to Parker Posey, who almost steals this movie in like 5 minutes. People, come on. Richard Kind, come on. And then there's one other cameo that I won't spoil. Beau is Afraid. I'm going to read this description. It's not going to do anything for you listening.
Richard Kind not playing it for comedy either this time around.
Did I ever tell you guys this? That I was, Richard Kind and I were like trying to, we were down to one city bike at the city bike station, and we were trying to like see who's going to get the city bike. This is a true story.
Did you have to fight Richard Kind?
No, what's funny is it didn't unlock anyway. But we like the two of us were at the city like,
you take the bike. It's your bike.
And he looked around. He's like, oh, yeah, it was really funny. And I was like, just get a cab, bro. You're in movies. But yeah, me and Richard Kind around 80th in the Upper West Side. He lives near there.
What a guy.
Yeah.
He lives right next to Only Murders in the Building. I don't think he's been on that show yet, but he's local. He could walk to work.
Yeah,
they should get him
commute.
on there.
It's got to be some sort of fine like discount for that. You don't have to commute, just walk down the block.
A friend of ours was in a play called Enter Laughing with Richard Kind in the Hamptons. There's a theater in the Hamptons that occasionally will get stars because it's like free work in their summer home spot. And he fucking loves Richard Kind. He said he was so great, fun, funny. So Richard Kind,
he seems like a cool dude.
We should add him.
I met him at a. He wasn't like roasting him, but he was giving like a big speech honoring Harold Prince. Like 10 years ago, something like that. And I got to meet him at the American Theater event for Harold Prince. He was very nice, funny man in person too.
Yeah.
Just one of those people.
He sings at the Kennedy Center honors for Mel Brooks. He's really fun. Anyway, guys.
Wait, that's where I've seen him. At 54 Below. He turned up for one of the ensemble shows I was at.
Get the fuck out of here. We all have Richard Kind stories.
Yes.
Yo,
He's around.
on the I know, guys, we're gonna talk about this movie, but on the Mount Rushmore of love of cinema stands on this show, Mark Rylance is at the Daniel Day-Lewis is off to the side. He's retired, but Mark Rylance is at the top. And then underneath the three faces, we might be able to add Richard Kind to this list. He might be on there.
Why not? Yeah.
And we all like him.
Yeah.
I like Spin City. He's really funny in At the Co-op. He's really funny in documentary now. All right, guys, we got to get into this episode.
Read the IMDb thing.
Following the sudden death of his mother, a mild... Well, I mean, that happens in the movie, but I guess that's okay. Following the sudden death of his mother...
A lot does follow that.
Yeah, good point. A mild-mannered but anxiety-ridden man confronts his darkest fears as he embarks on an epic, Kafka-esque... Get the fuck out of here.
They put that in the description, really?
Yeah. Odyssey.
That's for them.
Back home. All right. Off to you guys. Who wants to go first? Dave and I saw this like 2 hours ago, by the way. Initial takeaways. What'd you think? What'd you feel?
We should point that out that we all saw it right before we started recording this.
Oh, we are right. We are fresh.
I gave up half my day and went over to Lincoln Center. We apparently what?
You said you were making a knock on how long this movie is.
Okay, fair.
Ron was great. I never complained about how long it is.
Incidentally, I should point out that Jeff and Mark had seats together. I think they were trying to go without me.
I thought you got your seat
But I ended
first.
up at the same session.
Mark invited me. It's his fault.
I was never asked, what is your problem, Mark?
That should have been your gripe.
Mark.
Dave's a little heartbroken.
And I was late too, so I didn't even deserve it.
Yeah. And he laughs at my jokes, but deep down, he's an asshole.
You talking about me or Mark? Mark, yeah, Mark. Oh, just to be clear, I didn't miss any of the movie. I was late. I came in as Nicole was finishing up because they gave us like a fucking 20-second Nicole.
Yeah, the pre-show for this was really short. How was it over there? Because like it was like 15 minutes.
That's why I was late. I literally was getting food because I got free.
It was pretty
things.
Short here, guys. How long are we gonna put off talking about this?
We're padding.
I want to say one more. One more thing. No, we're talking about this
thing. Yeah.
One more thing, Dave. This was what do they say? Enhanced for Dolby? Like they used a different word
for IMAX. Yeah,
enhanced for IMAX. I thought it was formatted for IMAX, or like I never saw enhanced.
I think that's the same thing.
Yeah, of course they're getting more clever with the fucking verbs.
Yeah, it's like I was gonna see it in IMAX anyway because I saw the visuals of this. So I'm like, I want this as big as fucking possible.
I wanted the loudest possible introduction to a blank screen where I thought Dave was gonna have to go in the booth and tell them how to work their shit, and fucking noise came, and I was like, these motherfuckers.
It wasn't AMC Times Square. We're good.
All right,
I'll start.
Okay,
I'm still nervous about seeing this because I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, and I was like, I'm leaving my house. I'm like, fuck, it's 3 hours. What if I don't like it? This is a ride. It's a full-on ride.
Yeah.
It's beautifully shot. It's fantastically edited. And the writing is spectacular as well. Like I felt like when they jump, I really love the time jumps that they do, where it'll cut from him straight back to him at a different time, and he's like lost time, and I'm like, that is so good. This is like, I saw two people walk out during this, and I'm kind of not surprised because like he just channeled an anxiety episode crossed with a full mental break, and some people won't get it and others really will, and they're probably the ones that walked out because it, like, some of this stuff could be a little triggering, I would say. Like,
yeah, dude.
I was like,
what gave that away for you?
When I was curled up in my seat going, oh, mummy, no. But no, it was I couldn't take my eyes off the screen for 3 hours. Like, so there is absolutely nothing wrong with this film at all. It is just, it's not a journey I think everyone will want to take. So,
John?
Dave, my hat is off to you for figuring out a way to say something. So, just like a lot of his work, I think this is going to be very divisive. I think the world is starting to get a taste of what he likes to do. So I don't know if anybody's going to be surprised. But this is not a movie that I think most people would use the word I like or I dislike it.
This is an experience.
This is a very, very intense, effective, heavy experience built around very, very deep, dark psychological issues that have no happiness attached to them at all. So if you are thinking it's going to deliver some kind of catharsis or deliverance, or if that's important to you when you watch challenging movies, I think people might struggle with this one because of that. This one specifically, I think Midsommar has some of that as well. This movie is not as bound to genre the way people who think of him with Hereditary. I think he still thinks of this as horrific, but I wouldn't say the rules and archetypes that live in the horror genre are so prevalent in this film that you can deal with some of the emotional weight of this movie because it's coming through genre. This is in your face. It's naked. It's raw. I'll tip my hat to him for, like Jeff was kind of saying earlier in a funny way, he's being himself. He's totally just, writing from his own mind and own experience, I guess. Or
it's the fucking dream to walk into a studio and go, I want to make this movie. And they go, okay. And they just let you off the chain. Like, however weird it is, like you see this stuff at film festivals, like in the block sections. You see like stuff like this in the block sections of film festivals. You don't often see a studio releasing something this out there, I would say.
Yeah, but it's a very tough watch. I don't really know how else to say it. I was in misery watching this movie. This was a very, very difficult film, I think, for me to watch.
I have to ask, for you, on a scale...
I'm not going to go to the spoilers yet.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much nervous laughter was in your theater?
That was part of it. And look, anyone who hasn't figured this out, who's a listener of ours, I love dark, challenging material. I love provocative material. I'm not averse to that shit at all.
Dark, challenging, provocative material.
Yeah, honestly, this is my stuff. So this movie has me like, I'm reeling, trying to understand why I like some, and I've struggled so much with Ari Aster's work as a whole. I struggle with it. We can talk about that more in spoilers. But again, I respect him because he's absolutely doing his thing. There were two people sitting right beside me that I think Ari Aster paid to drive me insane. They were,
he heard your podcast.
Laughing.
Oh, did you go to 4D?
No. Jesus Christ. They were laughing. And again, I've been in David Lynch screenings where people laugh and stuff, and there's like an absurdity to David Lynch's stuff. This felt so sincerely emotional the entire time that it kind of, I don't think this is the kind of movie that there were comedic moments that I'm sure we're going to talk about that I laughed at too, but some where the nervous laughter was there and these guys were just getting a real kick out of the most fucked up shit that nobody else was laughing at. And it's like they had an endless thing of Reese's Pieces that they only ate at the quietest, most intense part of the movie. It was driving me nuts.
On the bright side, at least they didn't take a fucking FaceTime call.
Sure. Yeah. This is but yeah, I don't really know how else to say it. Like, I'm going to try to be positive in the fact that, like, if I knew this man, if he was a friend of mine, I would say, you did what you wanted to do. Good job. You made an effective film. I think that's what you wanted to do. But I think if he was my friend, I would also ask him, why? Why did you feel like you needed to make it that difficult to deal with those themes? The themes they come through. I mean, I don't want to not say that. Like,
there is no miscommunication.
Very, very well, yeah. You know what you're dealing with. I think there were a lot of times where, like, whether or not you were struggling with your viewing experience because it's so intense and so challenging, I bet everybody at our theater at least had one moment, if not several moments, where they're like, I know what that feels like. You know, so, like, again, I don't want to take it and sound too negative, despite how miserable I was by the end of this experience, but it's a very effective film.
I mean, films are meant to make you feel something. It doesn't necessarily mean happiness. I mean, that's fair. Jeff,
I'm gonna get to my thing here in a second. So I don't know if you guys caught this. So I said that this is his third feature film, but he made like 8 shorts. He went to AFI, the American Film Institute in New York. He's from New York, born to Jewish parents. Some people have thought about the Judaism, you know, especially with his relationship to his mom in a lot of his storytelling. I think that might be a reach personally, but that is part of the narrative, so I don't mind saying it out loud. In 2011,
when he was enough about Jewish culture to make an opinion on that.
Yeah, same. So in 2011, which is about the time he probably would be in like a graduate school kind of situation, post undergrad, he made a short called Beau.
Yeah.
And the description is a neurotic middle-aged man's trip to visit his mother is delayed indefinitely when his keys are mysteriously taken from his door. He is subsequently haunted by an increasingly sinister chain of upsetting events, which is actually probably a better accurate description of this movie.
Yeah.
One tiny difference is that movie's 7 minutes long. But
it was meant to be 2.
So I love this, and you know, Magnolia is never going to be in my top 5 Paul Thomas Andersons, even though if I were to push play on it, I'm going to be it's the John, it's your favorite, it's the Mark Maron. What does he want from me? What does he want from me? And in this case, Ari Aster, I don't know if he wants anything from us, really. Like I really feel like he just really wanted to make this movie.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got a story to tell.
Now, what's good to say is, so in the gist, I completely agree. The way Dave described it, I completely agree. It's like I liking it. I don't even know if those are the right words to describe this yet, because it's still a little fresh for me. I know that I was like entrapped. I feel like I was there and I was in this experience. I imagine a lot of people will agree with me in the theater section of the film, which is in the trailer a lot. Actually, the trailer is mostly this 20-minute sequence in this movie. You know, they do at the beginning. I couldn't believe they were in that beginning sequence for so long, because I was like, what the fuck? This isn't the trailer at all. The trailer is that dream sequence, which I should also say, Ari Aster, I need to see Ari Aster make a play. Somebody give him $10 million to do a play, because I really liked the way they did the Night Today, like the way they did like the 24-hour thing. I was like, that was like Zelda Ocarina of Time on stage. I was like, this is fucking cool. The person with the mask was Angels in America. It was like good theater.
Who the fuck was playing the music with the notes under the door?
I mean, oh yeah, and that, like, all of that kind of stuff. You know, again, that's the kind of thing you watch it a million times and you don't have an answer to. But you know that the person is making the movie they want to make, and you know that they are gifted. You know, because even more than, I guess, like his biggest contemporary is probably like Damien Chazelle right now, where it's like these young filmmakers that hit it big early and then started to make the movies they wanted to make. Even, you know, basically, they all wanted to make their movies, of course. But
yeah,
like,
only he has a better guy handling his release date.
Well, anyway. I don't know. Maybe I'm not making my point on that, but I knew the whole time this is exactly what he wanted to do. And so I didn't feel like I have felt it last year with a couple of movies that we talked about, where I was like, they didn't care about me. I don't feel that about this one, but I do wonder if he thought about the audience experience a lot, other than he knew it needed to be funny to get us through this. Because I think part of the best experience of watching this live, and I just have to guess that a bunch of people listening to this, in fact, the majority did not see this in person in a theater at a group, but people stifling their nervous laughter. I don't know how I would have gotten through this movie without that, like, yeah, it's like a check-in. Are we on the same page? Is this happening? There was a couple of it. The mom describing like the coming, again, I don't know about the spoilers, but that sequence where she's talking to the boy about like the dad and stuff. She says like 4 lines in a row, and the audience was like, "Is this funny or not?" Oh, that's a little bit funnier, right? And it's like we were all kind of figuring out on the way like how to watch this movie, and I appreciated that. Even though it was driving John insane, and I understand that. I personally need it, because if I didn't have that at home, I probably would have been like, you know, I'm hungry. You know, I have to pee. You know, like I think I would have.
Yeah.
Dude, I can tell you, like, I related to that scene completely. Just before we move into spoilers, because I was once at a toga party, and I met this girl at the toga party, and we hit it off, and it was going well. And I think I was about 17, and my mother was at the toga party as well, and was drunk. No, it wasn't our thing. Like, we just got, like, all the younger people got dragged along by their parents who were going to have a toga party and relive the youth, I guess. And my mother proceeded to tell this girl what color shit I shit on her when I was a baby. And I was like, dude, that is like devastating to a fucking 17-year-old. I was like shut down. I don't even remember what happened after that. I blacked out. But it's like,
I'm guessing you didn't hook up with the toga girl.
No, I did not. No.
John, what were you going to say? You're going to defend yourself?
I was just going to say, I just want to clarify, like, that nervous laughter thing, like, it is important. And again, there were a lot of very, he wanted that to happen. So I'm not saying that wasn't intentional, but I do know that there were a lot of really healthy and helpful comedic stepping stones, so that it wasn't just the intense anxiety style filmmaking from sequence to sequence to sequence to sequence. Just because the bulk of it is so psychological and so so effective with the style of filmmaking that nervous laughter was important. And it wasn't that when I say I was miserable, like that was just like my personal experience. Like, again, I don't even know if anybody who hates or dislikes this movie should say that it isn't brilliant, because it's just like with his other movies. Like, he's so good at making you feel something, which is really
if you walked out of this angry, it still did its job.
I mean, for 3 hours, if you felt something after 3 hours, that's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, that might be a filmmaker's only real job, a director specifically, to make people feel something with images. Like that might be the only job required.
I mean, this whole episode is going to be me sharing shitty things my mother did to me. So, I've been fucked up by this film.
Kind of had a feeling you were going to resonate with this, but no, I mean, we'll get into spoilers, and I think I'll ask you guys some more questions. But
really quick before
to hear.
Why are we holding off spoilers? What are you doing?
This will be our segue into spoilers, because honestly, I think the biggest, of course, Ari is the biggest selling point, and we're a podcaster who loves directors, but I mean, the performance Joaquin gives is we need him, like I know that there's amazing actors who aren't stars that are great and they're looking for their moment, but Joaquin, can you imagine
anyone else doing this would have seemed silly
or something,
and possibly laughable. Patti LuPone as well, like when she gets her moment, and that's the thing, Joaquin's such a great performer that he goes, all right, I've had my minute. And he sits back and lets her have hers at near the end of it, and she just goes, and it's terrifying.
But he's in basically every scene, if not every shot, and
this is a vehicle for him, and he carries it beautifully.
And he's still making his choices, but holy shit! Like
thinking too about when you see him in his underwear. Like I had a side image going of like how gaunt and emaciated it is, his Joker, and how gross he looks in this. It's crazy what he's willing to do for his craft. I mean, this is a real. I mean, he crashed the Oscars as a character he was playing. So. Yeah. I cannot imagine how taxing this role was.
Yeah.
I think maybe more than any role he's ever played.
Yeah.
Because he almost exclusively feels one way the entire time.
Yeah.
I do have a question to ask later when we get into spoilers.
But people are getting Masters vibes from this, and it has to be partially because of him, and also because people don't know what's going on. But just the commitment in those two movies where you're in the whole thing and nobody knows what's going on, and they are seeing it through you.
At least in The Master, he's having fun. Freddie has fun in The Master. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Some of the most emotional scenes I've seen in a while are all in this movie, and they hold on him. The camera holds on him for a lot of it. Shit. All right,
let's brutal.
All right, let's fire off spoilers.
Yeah.
Let's fire off spoilers.
All right, what do you want to start with first?
We're in spoilers.
Talk to me about guilt, because guilt obviously bookends this show, right?
It really does.
So there's the Truman Show thing that Mark, of course, was like, I'm just seeing Truman Show. And I was trying to see Oh Brother, Where Art Thou a little bit, because I knew that it had some Odyssey appeal. So I was like, okay, different interpretations.
Oh, this was definitely Odyssey related.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just want to say straight up front in spoilers, when we get to the end and the mother turns up, Patti LuPone, I'm throwing out supporting actress nomination right now. She was devastating and just relentless as just a bad influence on his life. It was someone who did not know how to parent, who was lumbered with a child and fucked it all up.
She's having an interesting moment in the musical theater zeitgeist that we don't have to get into now, too, in a good way. There's nothing necessarily wrong with her, but anyway, interesting choice for her, yeah. But I also love that they segued into her. One of those dream sequences, it looked like the young version of the mom, and then all of a sudden, I definitely heard Patti, and I started seeing it, but it wasn't quite Patti yet. So he did some, I don't know what they did, but
oh my god, the sound mix on this,
eased the lights was when she was telling him the story,
and then she slowly started turning into Patti, right? It was cool.
Yeah. Also, I should have thrown it out before we went into spoilers, but holy fuck, dude, he loved the sound mix in this. I was sitting in FRO in IMAX, and so I got all the separation in the spatial audio.
God, those poor fucking sound designers.
It was so disorienting. It was so good. At one point, I was like, who the fuck is making that noise behind me in the theater? Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
Like when the bath started overflowing, and I was like, "Who the fuck is like doing something behind me?" And it wasn't. It was
mirroring too of like
yeah.
the bad like absurdist things happening in the real world that would also mirror things in the dream world. That I thought, I don't know, I'm not saying he could have gone further with it, but like it was interesting, and it was like just enough where it's like, oh yeah, that connection, and then you move on, and it's like, how much of that do I, it's.
I don't know. Whatever they did with the spatial audio in this, it. I was on board. This is the
Sure.
That's the spatial audio use I want to do if I'm directing something like that. That is exactly how I would use the medium. So that really, really helps sell this for me, because you're all over the place. Like, people are talking from here and people are talking from here, and something coming from all around you. And like when Richard Kind turned up, he was like deafeningly loud everywhere, and like it was just great.
And I like how they hint with the phone calls with him, and then we're in spoilers. So Bill Hader, like I knew it was Richard Kind. I didn't necessarily know it was Bill Hader. I didn't even necessarily know it was Patti LuPone. So that was curious. But I want to talk about this guilt because it's the beginning and the end. So even the mommy issues thing, I didn't really care much about it until Patti LuPone showed up. But guilt opens the movie. It's the only thing the therapist writes on the paper. And then at the end, he's convicted, so he's guilty. So like guilt apparently is this through line on one layer of the onion that Ari Aster has unleashed. Does that inform the way we see this movie to you at all?
I want to stop you for a second. I want to ask, what do you think happened? Because like they mentioned at the beginning that these new drugs are experimental.
I mean, yeah.
Like, did he even leave his apartment ever?
Did he ever leave his childhood home?
And is it like, as the progression through all of this imagery, like are these drugs taking him on a trip, showing him everything that he fears the most so that he can deal with it? And the end where the boat flips is a statement on the fact that sometimes you just can't overcome your anxiety.
I don't think the drugs are related to it, but I don't think that's the deeper layer. I don't think the answer is
that's what I got from it. It was like he was shown everything that was affecting his life at this point, and was forced to deal with it. And in the end, it was just too much, and the boat overturned and he sank.
I think it's a reminder that no matter how many drugs you take, it's just going to help you see things differently, but it's not necessarily going to solve or cure all of world peace. I don't know. Because he's also, as the boy, he's on all of those drug posters in the house. Yes. So it's like...
I know what you mean, David. I think there's definitely, claims to be made with all the use of water at the end. Part of me wondered if he was still in the bathtub.
Yeah, even that, if it's like that stuff did happen, but not as how he was seeing it because he was on these drugs.
Or is this like Donnie Darko, where the director's like, oh no, he died, and it's like, no. I forget what the Donnie Darko director said.
It's pretty obvious by the end of that film he died.
Yeah, I think. Dave, I think what you just said is why I have such an issue with this film, and sometimes with his work in general. I have a buddy at school who describes
school?
We both are very drawn to not the school Ari went to, the other Los Angeles film school. This buddy of mine is also really into really fucking dark stuff, just like we're big David Lynch fans and everything. And we saw Gaspar Noé film a couple of years ago that was just like relentless and really sad, and like his stuff's really challenging. And my friend said, I struggled with it just because there was no hug at the end of it, and I knew exactly what he meant by that. You don't need to have a happy ending. I'm not saying that, but I am looking for some kind of deliverance, some kind of catharsis, maybe even a tinge of I don't know if the character needs to have hope, but maybe that the filmmaker is giving you something. And if I'm being totally honest, there's just part of me that was like, Ari Aster is so good at what he does.
Yeah.
And he's playing with fire with these themes and some of the literal behavioral issues like anxiety and depression. And he chose to end his film after putting us through 3 fucking hours of obstacles at one after the other, where he cannot get a grip on that mountain he's trying to climb to solve his problems. and he has him fucking drown in front of you. And there was just too much of me that was like,
it's the
get me the fuck out of here, dude. This is
it's the Chinatown ending.
It's not though. Because at least with the Chinatown ending,
the lead leaves. Yeah.
and not just that. Like it made me rack my brain. I was like literally trying to think of all of my favorite really fucked up movies to be like, why does that work and this bothers me so much? Why does some of Ari's work just seem to always have that thing at the end where he doesn't leave you feeling like, isn't there a chance? I don't know. It just made me think like what you said, Dave, about the people walking out. And this is just me making an observation. Like, he's a super talented filmmaker. I'm not taking anything away from him.
No.
The people who do struggle with anxiety so much that they will resonate with this movie, what is he saying to them? I mean, honestly, like, there's a part of me that's like, you do have some kind of responsibility. And I don't know, it just really scared me. My theater, even the nervous laughers, nobody was laughing at the end of that fucking movie.
Yeah,
no.
Nobody, and everybody was like, you heard people walking out. Everybody was like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. Nobody was like, what a fucking wild ride. Like, oh man, that was so intense. Like, I don't know. So I guess
think that was
your comment.
Sorry, you go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
No, you're saying to the comment about guilt. Like, I think my issue with all these themes is that for me, I think they were explored to the extent that he needed to use them to fuck up his audience and his protagonist. I don't know if they were fleshed out so that you can actually understand what they can be in the entire human experience when you're trying to overcome emotional difficulty, which is maybe call me old fashioned in that way, but I think that's fine. That's kind of what stories are supposed to do. And I feel like this story, there was a moment at the end when he walks out of the house and he gets on that boat, and I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. He put us through hell to get here. Yeah. But we're finally here, and he's going to sail off into the abyss. And I can still imagine maybe he's dead in his bathtub. He overcame his fears, and now he's in the unknown and the abyss of the sea. I can still totally imagine maybe he's dead.
Yeah, if it stopped right there.
But there was something so beautiful.
With the Odyssey, that is going to the afterworld, right?
Even with the Truman Show thing with the arena. Yeah. I was like, all right, fuck this. I was going insane again. I was like, God, he can't help himself. He's relentless. He's just fucking drowning. He's killing us. Even then, when he finally freaked out and started screaming, help, 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 I was like, we're here. I was right there with him. I was like, he's finally doing it. He's finally screaming. He's finally calling out for the help that he really needs from everyone. And he got really quiet, when he like gets still. And I was like, I thought maybe he was going to have them all stand up and clap for him, or maybe the audience was going to disappear and he was going to be just totally alone. I just did not see him being like, you know what I think about people trying to overcome their problems? They're going to fucking die one day. It's going to eat them alive.
It was him ignoring cries for help like he did earlier in the film. Or it's like them ignoring
it.
Ignoring the cries of help.
But what's funny,
when the guy was calling just help, 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 help me. Well, he was running to the pharmacy.
But what's funny is we know that he made the right choice not to help them because people were getting stabbed and
Yeah.
I used to say about New York City, I was like, you can't live in New York City and be a good Christian. Because you just step over homeless people every day. Otherwise, you'd have no money, and just people begging and people pooping in front of your property. There's no way you could do it. It's kind of a joke, but in this movie, they justify. I'm with you both, except that I think at the end, it's trying to turn the mirror, which is why I almost think, and I don't want to give suggestions because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I almost wish it was a theater and not an arena, so that way it would be an obvious mirror. So it would basically be like, would you help him? Now that you know this person, he looks like a decrepit homeless person, and you would probably ignore him too. So I thought he was going to turn the mirror more sharply, but he didn't. And then I just saw this boat and watched him drown. And so it was actually one of the weirdest endings of any movie ever, which is why I think Joaquin Phoenix. It's why I think Joaquin Phoenix probably loved it. He was probably like, fuck the audience, man. Yeah. Do you see me at the Oscars that year where I had to hand out the last award and then call it? Like, that's what I felt anyway. Like, that's me in real life. So fucking drown him. Let's go.
I want to see all of those cunts leave the theater with a 1,000-yard stare.
Because that's what happened. Because that's exactly because
that's what happened.
Well, because everybody left slowly at the end. So he was very self-aware that he was like, people are not going to be leaving this movie. They're not going to be happy with me.
Someone was waiting for something else to happen, and it just doesn't.
Did you see the way they left? They all left quietly, one at a time, single file. Nobody. Some people stayed a little longer
the people in front of me were having
popcorn.
A fucking conversation.
No, I'm talking about in the movie. In the movie, the people in the arena that were leaving, all of whom were dressed like us today. So but I'm with you. I think it's very interesting that that point I almost thought was comedic, and it justified Joaquin's look, this exasperated, like, what the fuck did I do the whole time? And even the stuff with the Truman Show thing, like turn the TV
like,
on,
what did he do?
don't in what was written on the napkin? Don't incriminate yourself with what? Is he a criminal? You know, like what exactly are we talking about here?
When the TV, like he skipped forward and it started showing the future, like the people behind me were freaked out.
Yeah, they could have done more with that.
Freaked out.
But they made him seem very sane at the beginning, actually, which theoretically would. Whoa, that is a loud motor vehicle. That's Dave's going to filter out that nobody's going to hear in our podcast.
No, I'm not. No, there's no filter on earth could filter out that motherfucker.
Yeah. So I get that at the beginning it's grounded. It's more grounded. I'm going to say this again because I want to talk about the play in a second, which the play is that hit me the deepest in the movie.
For sure.
Mark kind of passed out. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, he admitted it though. He like sort of he's zoned out during it. But for me, that was the most emotional I was in the theater. It was actually
beautiful.
The play. And it was beautiful. The way they transitioned between scenes, the way Joaquin was such a good sport, that was it for me. But the beginning was very grounded, and it was completely justified in his decisions. So like to him to be this wealthy heir, why is he living like that? You know, all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter because he was so grounded. I get it. But then the way it ends, I don't go from A to Z very well. You know what I mean? Each chunk I got, but the whole journey, I'm still, I don't know. They just seem like different puzzle pieces that'll never fit together to me.
Yeah. I don't even know if we were supposed to believe that the reality of his environment at the beginning was just how he was experiencing regular, what we would call normal life.
How Fox News viewers think of New York City, even though crime rates are down.
They really took the worst qualities of humanity and just ramped them to 11.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I mean, which, you know, the anxiety, like I think there's a lot of truth to how people who really struggle with that might experience everyday life.
And the question you have to ask is that how people who live outside America see America?
They should.
I don't think. Maybe. I don't think it has anything to do with America at all, though. I think it's definitely more psychological.
That was definitely supposed to be New York, though. That was supposed to be New York, right?
It was New York. I think they filmed it in New York.
Well, I know they filmed it there, but that's what it was supposed to be, right?
I feel like I'm coming down because I do feel, you know, I don't think I liked this as much as you guys did, but I do want to point out it's
okay not to like it. This is one of those ones where it's okay not to like it.
We still felt something the whole time. This is what you said.
You still had an emotional reaction.
The way he ended this movie, he doesn't want you leaving going, I liked that. So even though, yes, you wish anyway, I don't want to speak for you, but he knew. He knew. And I think I actually respect that. I think I like this more because I knew he sat there and went, he needed people to leave this movie not liking it in order to pull off what he did. If everybody liked it, he fucked up. I just believe it's so bold.
That's fair.
It's so bold.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway.
The opening was really, really brilliant. I really enjoyed the birth sequence. The very beginning. I thought that was
I caught on to what that
effective.
was real quick.
But if I'm being honest, the first two major sequences in New York City in the apartment and Nathan Lane's house, just as soon as he ran away from them, I was like, thank fucking Christ the story is beginning. When he was in the woods, I was like, finally, this movie is beginning. Like, just because, again, he's such an effective filmmaker. Yeah. I don't know what was achieved in those two sequences about how anxiety feels and how he perceives the world and the doubt he has with the guilt. I got all of that quickly.
I think that was. I think that was ripped from the Odyssey. Like, was that family the Lotus Eaters, the people who tried to trap him there?
Maybe. Yeah, possibly.
Because they wanted to keep him. He was the surrogate. So
it's true, yeah.
And he was stuck there and he kept trying to leave, and they're like, "No, stay another day. Stay another day." Not the best
surrogate.
But like they were constantly trying to get him to just through circumstance to stay another day.
God, that daughter. Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
What was going?
No, I'm sure you're right. If there were literal Odyssey, adaptation parallel elements, then
I think that was.
I guess those things are necessary to achieve that parallel. Whether or not they're necessary to make me feel what I felt 40 minutes before he left that house.
That is definitely yeah.
Again, not having a big
on for
oversight.
a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta. I don't know. It is just as Paul Thomas Anderson has admitted that. Magnolia is, as he calls it, master turbulently long. He says, like, I know it's too long. Like, if I could recut it, I would. Like, he was like, I wouldn't have changed anything at the time, but looking back, it was stretched. This one kind of gave me those vibes, if I'm being honest. Like, every single moment within those sequences, I was writhing in my seat. I wanted to jump out of my skin. I was going insane. So, like, he was achieving what I think he wanted me to feel in those moments. But I don't know if I had an evolution that justified the length of those sequences, because I felt like his character started being the most affected by the brilliant sequence in the forest that led into the theater, animated sequence. I feel like that was when, like, things really blasted off.
I'm a big fan of story. Like, I've studied a lot of story. Like, I have Robert McKee's storybook. I carry that with me everywhere I go. But, like, I feel like the story of this, and the fact that, like, Joaquin was able to, like, to communicate the story, and I say by any other actor this might have been silly and distracting, but the fact that he just took this journey and held you for 3 hours. Like, I'm 50 years old and I was distracted that I needed to pee for 3 hours.
Did you have to pee for 3 hours?
I had to pee for about half an hour.
Oh, I prepared.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I went right before the movie, but dude, it gets worse. So, like, I feel like it did its job. Like, he held me, the story held me. No matter how weird it got, I was already on this journey. I'm like, we're in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go. How weird is this going to get? And for some reason, this resonated with me really well.
Remember when Joaquin Phoenix used to be billed as Leaf Phoenix?
The very beginning of his career, his cult parents, River and Leaf.
I do have a really important question.
What's up?
Do you think they ordered a Parker Posey sex doll for the carry-out scene?
I was curious about the doll. I was about that as well. Or if Parker Posey is that good of a sport. She is on board. That sequence was really wild for me. That was obviously for everybody with the Mariah Carey. Let me just replay that. What a choice. Did they not get a second song? Did they?
That was really funny. Yeah. She was funny, dude. That whole sequence was funny. And respect to her for getting naked and really showing it. Like, I really respected that. I thought that was good. All right, let me cut straight to the fat through the fat for a second. I really want to ask you guys what you thought the giant dick in the attic.
The giant cock in the attic.
Well, so she said that's your father.
I feel like it was me. No. I mean, it again, that's one of the things that led me towards he was experiencing all of this from his medication and wasn't actually there. It was like he was locked in the attic, which he was, like, he saw himself as a child locked in the attic, and the whole problem was his penis, and that was kind of instilled in him by his mother. It's like, this guy came and then died, and so he was obsessed with that sort of thing, and then the constant threat that he felt chasing him the whole way through his life came in and killed the penis. I don't know. It was, huh?
The penis is dead.
Killed him, actually, which is kind of the question.
Yeah,
of
the penis
the
is still
did
alive.
kill him. That's true. Like, so the penis is still.
The question I was actually
still
getting
rampaging out there and might get a sequel and a movie of its own.
Well, and the guy who was attacking him ended up just attacking this cock. And she said that's your father up there. So is the cock the father, or is he the father? Is that him locked in the attic?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff.
Well, I feel like the father appeared there, and then the giant cock appeared there, and it was like the giant cock was very scene stealing. He should tone it down a bit.
The question I wanted to get at was that I think it's obvious that the dick represents his father, like the fear of you're going to die,
then
like he never actually was real.
Then who's the guy in the attic?
What was confusing to me was that in that lovely parabolic story of that the narrator gives in the theater animated sequence of the wolf will be released to hunt you down. Like, we all know what that feels like. The anxiety monster, it's always on your tail. But then it's just one of those intellectual moments where I got a little confused, because why did his deepest fear kill his anxiety? The representation of his anxiety of the hunter. That confused me for just a moment. It brought me out of the emotional, like, oh my God, this is crazy. What's happening? Yeah. It just made me think for a second. I was wondering if you guys took something more clear away from it.
The geography of that house kept fucking changing.
That didn't bother me at all.
Okay.
But I know what you mean.
I was curious, like, because she said it's not there was a memory, but the memory was a boy getting taken upstairs. So either the mom raped a boy, or the father was a boy, or it was Beau, because we never saw Beau.
I thought that was Beau. He had been punished, and he had been sent up there at least once or many times, and there was a version of him that for the rest of his life was trapped in the attic, terrified and afraid, and he was scared to confront that side of him. So that's where his fear, manifested itself.
And he eats dog food.
But when they killed the hunter, I was genuinely confused when the
dad's dick killed the hunter after Beau's dick didn't kill him but killed someone else. Very confusing.
This is where, like, if we're getting specific here, this is where this sequence at the end was so breathtakingly filmed, but the actual knick-knack storytelling elements, his fear killed his anxiety, and then he exits that place, and whether or not he chose to do it or if it was just an adrenal reaction, he kills his mom. Now, of course, the guilt is still there. I'm not saying the guilt is gone. I'm not saying he totally overcame everything, but he kills her, and then he leaves. And then basically, I guess his guilt causes him to kill himself.
Yeah,
in a sense.
That checks out, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's terrified of Richard Kind, so that's why we probably see him, because first of all, why is Richard Kind's message full, this lawyer? But like, it makes sense that he is the lawyer, but it makes sense that Richard Kind is in this last sequence of his, where we have to imagine the end is all just Joaquin. That any semblance of reality is gone. It's not the Truman Show, because the Truman Show has a macro element of this. This is all inside becomes outside, or vice versa.
Yeah, this is the Truman Show if the Truman Show was in hell. Like, seriously.
Or if the only people we're watching were inside his fucking head or something, or the people in hell.
It's being John Malkovich.
I don't know if any of this was real. I mean, I don't know if she.
That's what I was saying.
If she was actually. Are
you suggesting, John, that Ari Aster still isn't sure if it was real or not?
I think he definitely wanted you to be unsure if any of this was real. Yeah,
I feel like there is an answer, and we'll get it at some point.
I don't know if we'll get it.
No, we'll get it at some point, I'm sure. But for now, he wants everyone to be questioning the fuck out of what they just saw. Because we've taken 3 different points of view from it, which is great.
Here's a fear I have. This is a fear I have, because we talked about this with other movies, and I don't think Netflix should feel guilty for giving In Your Reach so much money for Bardo, even though I doubt that they got their money's worth, unless it played well in different markets. I don't know a single person besides John who saw it, and you saw it in a theater. So I wonder if A24 is like, this is why we don't do this. I just hope that's not the takeaway from this movie, even though it shouldn't be about the money. But only time will tell. Hopefully in 5 years, people find a narrative that we are sitting here trying to figure out, in our little podcast. But
well, I mean, if A24 will listen to this show and go, if they confuse those fucking guys.
I mean, again, I'm happy that I stayed with it the whole time. So good for A24 sprays and praise a little bit. They had a good year last year.
Yeah.
They did a lot of Oscar movies and stuff. But this is very
I feel like this may turn up at the Oscars.
I don't know, man. I don't think this is the kind of movie that goes to the Oscars.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this movie will be. It's very similar to the life that Midsommar has had. He seems to have a very passionate following. It's not a very huge audience, but people respect him who aren't a part of that audience, and the people within that audience, they're going to worship everything he does, for the rest of his life. So I feel like A24 is like, I bet I wouldn't be surprised if they feel, in a positive way, kind of obligated to carry the mantle of like, we make Ari Aster movies. He's one of the jewels in our crown. Yeah. People expect us to make his stuff. And I don't know what kind of streaming deal, this will eventually get. I know Midsommar has had a huge, very successful run on Amazon Prime. I think that's where it's been since it dropped.
I think it's Showtime, actually.
Service.
No, it's Amazon. It's Prime. I saw it on Prime.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's been on Prime for most of the time. So I also think this is one of those
I was looking forward to watch beforehand. The only place you could find it was Showtime.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, Jeff, talk a little bit more about
What
did you love so much about the theater sequence? Because I loved it too. I thought it was like when it was sitting in the proscenium shot, that was like one of my favorite 5 minutes of the whole movie.
I actually thought of you during that.
Yeah,
because I remember us talking about that.
Like this.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed that a proscenium shot. And I was like, he's gonna love this bit.
Dave's right. This is Midsommar. Really, I'll answer your question, but it's only on Showtime. It's not on Prime. So I don't know what happened because I watched it on Prime, of course.
They go everywhere. Licensing deals are weird.
That was quick though. Yeah. I thought they had multiple years. I think narratively, I just think that was. I thought they wanted sort of from the audience for us to sort of see these conundrums we have played out on screen, or at least that's what Ari Aster was going for. I thought maybe, I don't know, I was wrong. But then to have Beau go through this very deep level, it's almost the end of 2001. It's like, you know, this weird kind of stuff that we go to these types of theaters to see, these type of movies in the theater. We go to see these kinds of things where it's so transversive and it's so like, you watch all of the onion peel layers together. They're not even getting unpeeled. They're all on screen together at the same time. And the movie wasn't over yet.
It was very mixed media.
Yeah, and the movie wasn't over yet. So I was kind of thinking, okay, this should be the whole movie. You know, maybe they should slow it down and have them actually live these things. But I loved the way that they were speeding through them so quickly. And I was like, okay, so now we're getting to the point. I kind of thought that it was so direct. You know, even though it was very storytelling, it was very abstract. It was kind of like the 25th Hour, Brian Cox, like the fake story that Edward Norton sees. It was kind of, in Harry Potter when they went, oh yeah, we're in the 7th book and we forgot to mention this shit. So let's just tell you the story about the 3 brothers or whatever. And it's like that sequence is just so, it was captivating. In musical theater, go with me for a second. This is a piece of theater. In musical theater, what songs should do is take you from A to Z in a way that like our scene couldn't do. So if we just had a little conversation, it's not going to get a huge life-changing decision in 2 minutes, but a song can do that. So I thought this sequence took the narrative that I thought was getting a little stagnant and I didn't know what was going on. And I wanted him just to go to the jungle and it turn into fucking, what lies beneath or what dreams may come or those kinds of, I was ready for that when he went into the jungle. And then it became Station 11. I just got, oh my God, Siri just gave me the what dreams become synopsis. So anyway, I hope I'm not rambling too much about this, but the long story short is I thought the jungle was going to be this, and it wasn't the jungle, it was the play. And so I thought the play was going to be it. I thought it was going to be the thing, and then we just went right back to the same business as usual. And so I was a little bummed ultimately towards the end because that was the highlight. That was just the highlight of the movie for me.
I think I completely agree with that because it really... Again, I just keep coming back to, and this is clearly the point. I'm not trying to sound ignorant. Ari Aster very successfully proved that these kinds of characters will never escape their pain. That was his intention. I think he just found a lot of ways to do that. But, generally speaking, we're looking for things to affect characters and change them over time. And this was such a good example of that element being something where I really felt like they were showing us, they were showing him change over time within that story. And then they do this thing where he meets his kids and like, I'm me, this is my story. And you're like, oh my God, what is happening? This is brilliant. Yeah. And then it comes back to the dick.
Yeah.
and then here comes his anxiety out of the forest, shooting everybody up. And I was like, all right. And I just kind of, he nailed it. I think that was his goal. He very effectively, every single time I was like, maybe there's a chance that something else is going to happen in this story to help Joaquin Phoenix evolve. He was like, no. And like just something would come in and just relentlessly, just knock you down a peg and just make you feel like there's no escape. And that was totally the deal. So for me, that was the only moment. And I think that's the ultimate takeaway that I'll just say. And this might sound like a criticism, but I hope it's just more of an observation because I don't think he wanted it to feel this way. I think he did it on purpose. A lot of my favorite work in general, but definitely the darker, more challenging stuff, from the absurd to really intense, realistic drama, there should be something transcendent about the experience of watching it. And for me, this was very purposefully not transcendent. And I think that's what I struggled with so much. The theater sequence did feel like that until it finished. And so when it went back to the rest of it and all the way through the ending where it just wasn't transcendent, I think I was just waiting for something like that. And he did not want to give that to us.
To you. No.
Yeah, so I guess that's why you guys responded to it in a more positive way. Maybe you didn't expect it or want it.
From a filmmaking perspective, that sequence involving a lot of mixed media, like there was some set builds that had the animation on them. Then it went to full animation, then we're back to mixed media again with like the people sitting on stage, but the fire was burning in an animated fashion in the background.
Yeah, she was reading the story. Yeah.
And like that sort of thing still conveys the storytelling aspect. There was that, and there was also like I mentioned before, that it was beautifully shot, but like there was some stuff like the lighting in the psychiatrist's office. Like, did you look where the shadows were coming from? Because they literally were using diffusion cloths in as like speckled shadows. So when he walked in and sat down at the psychiatrist's office, he sat with half his face simulating like a 3-point lighting setup, but like that half was dark and this half was lit, but it was all lit by the one light. And it was like the shadow was coming from the direction of the lighting, but when you got the answering shot, there was no thing there that could have provided that lighting and stuff like that. Like that sort of filmmaking technique really responded to me. I was like, that's fucking clever.
There's definitely a lot of like manipulative filmmaking stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an absolute genius with the execution of his choices to make you feel something, to play with you. I mean, I'm not questioning his filmmaking ability at all. Did you notice the camera on the desk in the therapist's office?
No, I didn't.
No.
I have a feeling, Elizabeth pointed it out, and I was like, fuck, I have a feeling there were breadcrumbs like that all over this movie.
Did you notice the weird duck bill thing in the background of one shot?
Monitored. Yeah, the penguin was sitting in the tree. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that where I think he was like, I don't need to answer that.
Nope.
I don't need to make sense of that. But whether or not that works in terms of structure, kind of, Jeff, you were speaking a little bit more like structurally. I think, I agree with you with that too, that sometimes I think we kind of expected certain things to happen just out of the structure. And I guess he was just trying to subvert that as well. And he decided to take 3 hours to make that statement. Yeah.
I should also say the music was done by the Haxon Cloak. I've never heard that, but that's an awesome name.
I really liked the music.
I did too. I actually kept
vocalist.
Yeah,
I really loved the vocals.
I mean, the audio mix in general was genius.
Yeah, and
it was fantastic.
Cinematographer was Paolo Bokorzewski, but I just really quick with the music. Very early on, they had a Largo theme that I'd never really heard before, so I Shazammed it, of course, in the movie theater. And then later on, I thought there was a new piece of classical music, but it was original music. But it mirrored that so well that like it tricked my ear in a way. So like they took a common church hymn piece, not hymn as in like you would have sung it in like Southern Baptist school or whatever, but like, in the Baroque era churches, they would have like a boy choir. It was castrated, so that they would sing high into their 50s, sing this like beautiful piece. And then the rest of the score mirrored that which already exists. So I thought that was pretty clever with the music. Sorry. That's it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're done.
Okay. Sure. Say it bluntly, Dave.
No, we turned over.
We were worried like this was going to be a short episode. We've gone an hour 8.
I hope people who have seen this movie should expect nothing less.
We're
trying to work through this. People to go see this movie?
I think so. I mean, take from it what you will, and it is a journey. But yeah, I think I would recommend going and seeing this.
Please see it so I have somebody else to talk to about. I want to hear everybody's take. Not that I didn't like this from YouTube, but I just want to hear everybody's take. I don't even know Mark's take, and we talked to him afterwards. I still don't know his take.
Mark couldn't talk about it. He was fucked up.
It's a lot, dude. Yeah.
Well, he asked about long movies because Matt doesn't want to see any long movies anymore. And as I said, I just rewatched Godfather 2 and Goodfellas, and I was pretty happy with the length of time.
Yeah,
I didn't want them to cut anything. Come on, Dave. These are 2 of the best movies ever made. I don't think this one's Godfather 2, but it certainly is something memorable. I'll remember things about this for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And Joaquin's a good selling point. I'm glad I have that. I was like, guys, don't you want to see Joaquin? I know he has Napoleon coming out, and then he's got Joker 2 and all this shit, but like, come on, this should be on the mantle. Yeah.
Good for him.
All right, people. It is now officially time for our final segment, what you've been watching, where we give you our recommendations of the week and tell you what we've been watching Dave, we like to start with you. You ready to give the people your recommendations?
Sure. I watched a film, I think it was on Amazon Prime. It's called Doors. It's a sci-fi anthology. I've gone on a big sci-fi kick this week. It is 3 stories involving doors that start appearing on Earth. And you go through them and people disappear, and then they start sending teams through, volunteers through them. And one of the anthology films covers what happens inside the door, and it's fucked up as shit. And yeah, another one involves a scientist communicating with the door, but it's like an anthology film. So it was, as far as low budget sci-fi goes, pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I was not expecting something so cool to come out of it. And on Paramount Plus, I don't know if I plugged this before. I think I missed it last week. Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
Oh, you watched it?
Dude, seriously, I put this on going, oh, fuck it, I'll just watch it, see what it is. It is amazing. Like, they start off with a full-length version of Grease that introduces all the major cast. There's songs in every episode. It's relevant to modern society, even though it's set in the 50s before Grease happens, or just before Grease happens. And, like, it's really good. I was, like, laughing. It's the Grease 2 we should have had.
Okay, I won't buzz you, but as
I think we got exactly what we deserved out of Grease 2.
Grease 2's money grab.
John?
I'll drink myself for that.
I'm still going with Better Call Saul. I'm absolutely loving that show. It's so good.
Yeah, man.
I saw Wong Kar-wai's 2046, which was really beautiful, really beautiful, intense art house film. And then I watched Blazing Saddles the other night. Hadn't seen that in a long time. It was funny.
Where did that come from? Why Blazing Saddles?
It was like on a recommended for you on HBO Max on my profile. I can't believe you haven't seen it. It's been sitting up there for a while. I was like, yeah, I'll just
seriously, who the fuck hasn't seen Blazing Saddles? Like,
it's pretty great.
What line stood out? What's your favorite line?
I can't repeat them.
Okay.
Somebody's gonna go back and get a shitload of dimes.
I'm not gonna let you get audio clips of me quoting Blazing Saddles.
Anyone moves and he gets it. Yeah.
Dave's trying to get our TikTok numbers up.
Oh my God.
At our own expense. All right, well, guys, I'm finally caught up on Succession.
I haven't watched any of it yet. I'm waiting.
I know you haven't. I know you're avoiding the spoilers, but there was a huge it was an event that, altered the course of the season comes up, and I loved it so much I watched the episode twice, even though I knew what the event was. I knew what the spoiler was. So that's how good it was. This is how good my week was to my Succession fans, because I'd never said that Succession was the best show on TV. People would say it. I'd always be like, yeah, I don't know. I watched the last 2 episodes of season 3, which I think the finale of season 3 was the best episode up until that point. It was the wedding in Europe, to my friends who have seen it, and then the sales coming, and then this episode is probably even beat that. It was so fantastic. So kudos, and I loved it so much. I watched In the Loop, the movie from 2009, the British satire starring Tom Hollander, who I love, and Anna Chlumsky of Veep, and Peter Capaldi, and just this incredible cast. But it's directed by Armando Iannucci, who created Veep, and it was co-written by Jesse Armstrong of Succession. So that was my in. I was like, I want to see more from this fucking British. These 2 Brits have made 2 of the best American shows. Veep and Succession were made by British people. It's fucking, man, they're coming here and they're better than what we do at our own shit.
Sucks. British invasion.
That's what I'm saying. Finish Mandalorian finished. Just fine. It's still, number 3 on the list of the best seasons of Mandalorian. And I still don't know if it really got its footing back. Sorry, Chris, but like it ended.
Yes, it did.
Well.
Fuck you.
Get the fuck out of here! Don't you dare tell me that.
It was fucking awesome.
It was awesome as pushing it. I was very happy with it.
Yeah, see, awesome is from someone who's seen all the stuff that they referenced.
Okay, if you say that you like the references and so that justifies they kidnap somebody at the end of the episode and then the next episode he just escapes like that, it's like, come on, guys, you got to be better than that. You can't. I just think they ignored the adults when they wanted to make a family-friendly prestige drama. Now they made a kids-friendly prestige drama. I thought that was cheap. But anyway,
I disagree. I thought it was fucking awesome.
He escaped in 3 seconds. What was the point of kidnapping him if he's going to escape that easily? I just think that's bad narrative structure. The bullshit. Then they fucking pissed their tension away. They had him kidnapped. They earned their kidnap, and then they went, fuck it. It's like we changed our minds. That's what they did. But anyway,
it's like pushing Jeff's buttons.
Damn, I'm trying to be positive about the show since we've had a friend who worked on it, and he did great work.
Positive.
I love the show.
I don't take back anything I said. I thought it was fucking awesome.
You.
I enjoyed it greatly.
Also, I love the way they set up next season. I know they haven't announced another season. They're going to give a next season, and I can't fucking wait. I think this is going to be fantastic, the next season. So that's what I've been watching. Any other words before we head out, people?
Go fuck
Ari
yourself.
Aster, give it up for him.
We love you, Ari. Thank you so much for sticking around. We'll see you next time, film fans.